You're listening to Bookin' Around Town with Jacques on the Audio Flow.
Good afternoon, everyone. What's up? It's your girl Jacques with Bookin' Around Town and the Audio Flow. So today I'm doing my first ever crossover episode where I am intertwining both voice/audio as well as books. And wow, how fun is it that I get to do that? Because I found one person who's been able to do both. Not saying that we've not had any narrators who've become writers or writers who became narrators, but this is on a totally different avenue, totally different for you guys. And so yes, today's guest actually wrote a book and is also a singer and songwriter. So look at that. We've crossed over into music. And I had a chance to chat with her a couple weeks ago, and she's absolutely hilarious and very talented. And you guys will get to hear all about her today. So please help me welcome today's guest, Shauna Brittenham. What's up, Shauna? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing today, Jacqueline?
I'm doing just wonderful. It is a lovely Sunday afternoon, and I want to be the first to tell you happy birthday.
Thank you. You are definitely the first.
I'm always the first. Didn't you know that already?
Oh, well, let me be the second at least. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Well, I get to be the first one to wish you happy birthday, and I get to be the first one who actually has you on an interview or a chat, as I like to call it, on a podcast. So it's a lot of firsts for us today, right?
That's right. It is.
Well, good. Well, welcome to Bookin' Around Town. This is the first crossover episode or show that I've done where I've been able to merge Bookin' Around Town and the Audio Flow together. So again, looks like there's three firsts for us. And I'm just really excited to get a chance to chat with you about, your work, what you've been up to and things, and really introducing you to the audience. So we're going to just jump right on in there. For those of you guys who do not know, Shauna is not only a singer, but she's also jumped into the book world, and she's written a book, Only Simply Love. And I really want to get some information about how you came up with the title. What are some things that you took from your music career and kind of incorporated into this book?
Well, that's a great question. Well, I think that, when you're doing any kind of art, you're incorporating aspects of your own experience, whether or not you intend to, right? So everything has been translated into the music in terms of relationships from the past and experiences I've had loving and losing. And a lot of those emotions and a lot of those plot lines are reflected in the book as well, because the book really features a young woman who is kind of finding herself as she's developing relationships with her patients. She's a psychologist in Manhattan. And so a lot of the themes that often you'll hear in my music as far as love and passion and self-discovery are concerned are also reflected in the book. And the title, interestingly, came last. I wrote the entire book, the first and second drafts, and then was thinking to myself, gosh, I don't even know what to call this thing. And I reread it a third time and ended up just extracting the words Only Simply Love from a line in the book. The line is actually Only Simply Love. There's nothing else to the line. It was a 3-word line. And it just felt right, and it kind of encapsulated the intention of the book, which is that really at the end of the day, it all boils down to love.
It does. And so while you were deciding on the characters of the book, for instance, psychology, now is that a background that you're familiar with, or is that just how the character kind of spoke to you in your head, for lack of a better word, and said, you know what, I need to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and let's go with it?
Yeah, actually, I went to graduate school on a master's level for clinical psychology.
Okay.
But about a year and a half in, I ended up moving to Manhattan for a gentleman. I was,
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know if he was a gentleman, but he was a guy. And I ended up moving to New York to be with him and never ended up finishing my studies. But psychology is a realm and a field that has always spoken to me because it's really about healing and sort of discovering your own truth. Psychologists really are simply a tool for self-discovery. And that's something that's always fascinated me. And I've always wanted to sort of help people find their own voice and their own truth. And there was maybe something about that being an incompleted portion of my life that felt like it needed, further investigation through this character. So I was excited to actually bring back the idea of psychology and the whole notion of psychology and sort of channel it into what I was writing.
I always find it fascinating when persons with backgrounds in psychology write, because have you ever met somebody who reads everything and then they self-diagnose themselves? So somebody will read your book and say, oh my God, that's me, I'm just like that. Or, when you were studying, did you ever find yourself, reading something and say, I do that. And then the next thing you know, you think you've diagnosed yourself from something out of that book, volume 5.
When you start studying psychology, you recognize very quickly that you're crazy, and so is everybody else. And that's the secret. It's like there's kind of this world of mental health and this need to diagnose and to categorize people because it makes it easier to treat them. Mm-hmm. And in reality, it's much more complex than that. And we would all probably find, if we were to truly investigate what's kind of lurking beneath the surface, that there are layers and facets to our being that could be called any number of things that are not necessarily conventionally flattering, or societally appropriate, or quote unquote normal. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of what makes human beings interesting, is that a lot of what makes us human is our flawed mm-hmm. nature. And so when I was studying psychology, I did see a lot of my own neuroses and idiosyncrasies appear. And then I realized everyone else in the program was trying to heal themselves as well. And I was like, oh, thank goodness I'm not the only one.
Yes,
I don't really realize it going in, but it's like, oh, I guess I kind of needed this too,
Yeah. It's so interesting because I started a master's program in psychology as well, and I had to quit because I kept looking at everything and saying, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And it was just very overwhelming. And so I said, this is not the career path I need to go in. I need to go back to communications and laughing and talking to people on that level. And yeah, let's leave it at that.
Can I safely diagnose you as a paranoid hypochondriac based on what I'm just kidding.
Yes, and you probably would be correct, ma'am.
No, I think it's much more fun to laugh. It's much more fun. And frankly, I think laughing is a huge part of the therapy. And, I've found in my own life, not to threaten the employment of psychologists, because, I'm a huge fan of the field, but I found in my own life that what feeds me and what heals me and what speaks to me often is just not conventional. It's not mm-hmm. sort of sitting there, in an office talking about my problems. It's laughter, it's connection, it's a different kind of relating to myself, mm-hmm. to other people that can sometimes be the key, And so on that level, I say I'll join you in that laughter and hope that, all of our paranoid, hypochondriac-ish tendencies dissolve into the oblivion,
And that along with wine and chocolate.
Oh, the two best things on planet Earth.
Exactly. Everything can be solved with wine and chocolate. So if you ever decide to go back no, don't go back into psychology or anything like that. But if you ever just, have people who come and say, I need to talk to you about something, I'm going through, then you go ahead and prescribe them some type of wine and send them some chocolate and say, do you like white wine? You like red wine? You like dessert wine? You like sweet wine? Which one do you like? And then, you say, well, you make sure you have a bottle of that and some chocolate and laugh. There you go.
By the way, you are channeling something from my book, because the main character of my book, Maya, which also happens to be my daughter's name, she says when she's starting her practice that she's going to always make sure to have a little tin of chocolates there in her office, so that at least if people feel like she's failing as a therapist, they'll have the positive associations and possibly keep coming back. So I think that we're on the same page here, it's safe to say. And
yes, I'm all about the wine and chocolate. And speaking of, I know today is your birthday and you're having this ginormous party. So will there be wine and chocolate?
There will be everything that you're supposed to eat and consume in moderation, and there will be no moderation. Because why? Really?
Exactly. It's a celebration, right?
It's a celebration.
It's your birthday and you do what you want to do. And speaking of that, on your birthday, your record or CD is releasing today on iTunes. So congratulations on that.
Jacqueline, thank you so much. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, how either you went from music to writing the book or vice versa. What was the journey like to get to, I guess, both of those creative points in your life where you have this book and now you have your music?
Well, the music came first. The music I began writing and singing when I was about 19, so 4 years ago. No, I'm a little older than that.
I just was like, yeah, that's great.
And I was just hoping that I wasn't going to be the one to have to wrap myself out.
Nope, I was just going to go with it. See, you should have just said, 4 years ago, and I'd have been like, okay, yeah, she's 23. We can go with that.
Love it. Ooh, one day I was 23, a long time ago. But so I started writing and singing at a very young age, and my path took me in other directions. I became a school teacher, a Montessori school teacher, but was always writing and recording on the side. And then I actually stopped teaching to pursue music full time. And it was not until I was pregnant, 4 months pregnant with my first child, Max, that I was offered a really compelling A&R deal. Mm-hmm. And, the timing just felt outrageous and unfair, in a lot of ways. I'd worked my entire life to sort of get to that moment where I had this opportunity and could really take things to the next level. And I really had to make a choice about whether to, sort of engage myself fully in being a mother and having that be what that was for that time in my life, or to sign a contract and agree to be on the road, shortly after having him. And just recognize that I'm a person who really likes to give my all to whatever I'm doing. And so becoming a mother, it felt important to me to give motherhood that same opportunity and chance that I was hoping to give music. But in doing so, about 4 months after my son was born, there was a hole. There was just something missing. And I know that's not necessarily a politically correct thing to say, because, one kind of hopes and dreams that on some level having a family and children is the be-all end-all, and that it will somehow wrap up any loose ends in your life and make you feel complete in a lot of ways. And of course, there is a dimension of that, but there's also always, I think, a calling to have our own voice be heard. Yeah. And in my case, that was through the music. And so I did feel a sadness, really, in sort of transitioning from the dream of music into this new dream, which was raising my child. And at a certain point, my husband intervened and was like, Shauna, you gotta do something about this. Like, you're feeling really creatively dehydrated and you need to feed yourself. yourself and get back to the you of you and the part of you that's not just about raising your son and being a mother, but I really didn't know how to do that, because for me, music meant being on stage and having this bigger, fantastical thing happen that I didn't feel necessarily corresponded to the new normal of motherhood, which is a much sort of quieter, low-key lifestyle and mood, And so he said to me, you ought to write a book. Your entire life, you've written things and you've always wanted to complete a book and publish a book. Now's the time. And I kind of complained about it and was like, it's not the time, it's time for me to be singing and making music and I'm performing. And he said, but if you're not going to do that, at least do something else that will feed you and feed your soul. And I kind of poo-pooed the idea. I more than poo-pooed it. I mean, I think I kind of yelled at him to go make me a sandwich. And but really, I was kind of like, you're trying to steal my dream also, and it's like, and then that night, in the middle of the night, I woke up just to feed my son, and the words just started rolling through my head. And all of a sudden, this idea that had kind of been percolating about a woman in Manhattan becoming a psychologist became real. And I just wrote the first chapter of the book that night, at 4 a.m. that morning, I guess I should say. And then I never stopped from there. Every day when my son was sleeping, even when I was nursing him, frankly, I was talking into the recorder on my phone, or I was jotting ideas down. And then while he was napping, I was, brainstorming and kind of putting it all together. So it took about 5.5 months to write the first draft, and then another year to find the time to edit it.
Right. Editing is not fun.
Editing is not fun. I love the sort of stream of consciousness, just allowing it to be what it is and not caring about punctuation and grammar, because, that's the fun part. But then there was and then there's the editing. And of course, I don't know how to edit. I mean, I barely read. I'm like, I'm half
you
literate.
Can't say that. Hey, Shauna, you can't. This show is called Bookin' Around Town, like book, meaning reading. So you cannot say I barely read. You can't say no. Well, we're gonna edit that out, because no, you can't. No, just you totally blasphemed on my show. Blasphemy.
No, I love to read, but as I'm sure your readers may know, when you have 2 children under the age of 3, you don't have time to barely go to the bathroom. So
okay,
so while I love to read,
okay,
if I have time to make a sandwich and possibly sleep for a few hours before my 5-month-old wakes me up, we're in good shape.
Okay, we're good. Now, you mentioned sandwich 2 or 3 times during the show. Did you eat today? Are you hungry?
I'm always hungry. That's just part of personality. It drives me to do insane things at times. I could be hungry for food, or hungry for love, or hungry for an adventure. But yeah, no, hunger's always on the table. Okay. Literally.
I love it. And so now we're at this point where you were at your, I love that your husband kind of made this thing creatively dehydrated. I think that there's a lot of people that experience that, and it may not come in the form that yours did with, becoming a mother, but, things happen in people's lives and they have to put things on hold, and like you said, there's something missing. And it's not to kind of downplay, becoming a mother or life changes, but something that you have a passion for that you want to do, and you're not able to do it. And he gave you an out. And even though, initially, like you said, you poo-pooed over the idea, and then this story comes, and now you've been able to kind of come back full circle back to music. So how's that been for you? What allowed you to kind of get back into the studio and take those recordings or your writing and say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have this part of my dream happen now?
Right. Well, I think in some ways timing is a very elusive thing, and we kind of can't explain always why it's the right time to do something. I mean, I think one thing I've learned from having kids is there's never really a right time for most things. It's about making a decision to do it, and to move forward, and to not expect circumstances to be perfect, just to kind of follow your dream. If you've got a day job, whatever few moments you have, on your lunch break or walking to the bathroom and then going back to your office, that's all an opportunity to brainstorm and to create. For me, interestingly, after the birth of my son, a lot of the music just felt like it stopped. I stopped creating. I stopped hearing melodies. I stopped singing. And the book took over. And I think partly what happened is now that I have the book complete, it's allowed for the music to find its place again. And my daughter, who's 5 months old, loves singing. I mean, she makes these sounds. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to compare her to Barbara Streisand because she's 5 months old, and I would hate to diminish the life work of an icon. But, my daughter has this kind of ridiculous way of expressing herself. It's so phenomenal and beautiful and raw and free. And she laughs and she coos and she sings when I'm singing as well. And that feedback from her, I mean, it's, kind of hilarious, I guess, that the audience that drove me back into music was a 5-month-old, but kind of having her feedback as well always keeps me singing, because when I see her face light up and I watch her reaction and then I feel her try to sing back to me, there's something very kinetic about that. And so it just, when she was born, really, just expressing herself and sounding all the time, it really kind of inspired me to find my voice again. And also there's just something to be said for not letting too much time pass and not creating too many excuses. And it was like, okay, well, I have the 2 kids. What next? What can I be doing to make this other part of my dream happen?
And so now your CD, I know you called it a record. It's not a record, and really not a CD either, because in case you didn't know, when was the last time you saw a CD player, Shauna?
Right. The whole technological revolution has really taken me for a ride here, and I have a lot catching up to do. I think really what it's called is an album.
Yes.
I'm still like listening to a Walkman at times.
I was going to ask you if you had one of those. Oh gosh, somebody help her. Hello, no. Can she get an iPod, please?
Here's the thing. It's like as soon as I get on to the next thing, there's something else. I have a sister who's 17, and she's really hip to everything that's, fresh and relevant. And so she keeps me current. So it's like, I'll call her. I'll be like, India, something happened to my computer. I don't know what to do. And she'll come over and fix it. Or I'll say, how do I listen to music on this thing when there's no slot to put something in? And just kind of roll her eyes and be like, okay, Shauna, but.
I think everybody should have a millennial or a teen in their pocket to keep them up to date with technology, because I'm kind of with you, and I'm not as far back as 8-track tapes or anything like that. I'm still listening to the iPod, but I'm pretty sure people don't really use those either. They're using apps now just on their smartphone. And
right.
So I'm behind the times too. I may be a little bit further up than you are, but we're in this together.
Well, friends have recently accused me of being Amish, so I'm glad that there's a little bit of support for us. My 2-year-old, by the way, knows how to operate my phone entirely, and to find, I guess, his father downloaded some games for him on the phone for when we were traveling recently, and I had no idea that he would know how to access the games himself. He punched in some code on my computer, found the game and started playing it. I said, Max, did Dad help you get to the game? He goes, no, and my husband looked at me like, yeah, even a 2-year-old knows how to operate your phone. So
maybe you should learn. Isn't that scary though? That kids, like, they're birthed to know how to work technology. Like your daughter, she's 5 months old, right? By the time she's 1, she'll be working the sound, she'll be working the equalizer, and she'll be in the booth singing. Like,
she's my engineer and my backup singer. And frankly, I might be her backup singer because she's a way better singer than I do. She's always on pitch. She sings along. I'm really wowed by her.
Well, we'll make sure we have her on the show too, so that we can listen to her sing.
There might be a lot of drool at the end of the show, but yeah, no, she's very engaging. She loves to interact, and she's got a big voice for a 5-month-old.
I bet that's awesome. So tell us the name of the album.
The album, not to be confused with the CD or record, is called Dreamer's Dream, which is also a track from the record, Dreamer's Dream. It's one of the first songs I wrote on the album was Dreamer's Dream, and then I ended up calling the album such. But it's a 17-track album, and I'm just so thrilled that it's finally going to be heard.
Well, I'm excited about it, and we're going to listen to, what's the name of it? Is it called Uh-huh?
I love it. It's Uh-oh, but I think I need to rename it Uh-huh.
Uh-oh. Well, I like Uh-huh, too. So can you, like, write a song called Uh-huh?
That was a lot more definitive. Uh-oh is like, what the crap did I just do? Uh-huh is like, I know exactly what I did, and I'm sticking with that program. That program is working for me. So yeah, I think...
That's the follow-up song. The follow-up song to Uh-Oh is Uh-huh for the next album.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Now all you have to do is the writing. I can give you a title, but all the writing's on you.
Perfect.
But in the meantime, how I actually found Shauna was through Rick Miles over at Red Coat PR, and he posted a video of this particular song. And if you don't know me, I am not loyal to any type of music. I just enjoy music. I don't have a specific genre that I like more than any other one. And I fell in love with your voice on this song, When I'm Pretty. And so what I would like to do is play When I'm Pretty, and then after that we will listen to Uh-Oh.
Delirious is what you call me when I'm serious. Superstitions get the best of me, and I'm on my knees, needing to be told that I'm not crazy. You walk away, I disappear. When I am sick, 'cause God forbid you're near. When I am wasted, shaking on the floor, I just close that door. I'm afraid that you won't want me anymore. And it's true that you only love me when I'm pretty. Yeah. What about the rest of me? Real women cry, real women fight. And when a woman's taken back her life, she knows how to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. It breaks my heart, the way you never let me fall apart. I'm like a statue in a pretty dress. I don't make a mess, 'cause every move I make it's you, 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 you. Only love me when I'm pretty, yeah. What about the rest of me? Real women cry, real women fight, real women lose their head in the middle of the night. Oh, real women choke, real women die. When a woman's taking back her life, she knows how to say goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. You think because you're sexy, you can charm me and undress me. I admit that I've been under your spell, but the bubble has been broken and my eyes that have been opened. I'm a gem, but you don't know me very well. Hey, what about the rest of me? You only love me when I'm pretty, yeah. What about the rest of me? Oh, you only love me when I'm pretty, yeah. What about the rest of me? Real women choke, real women die. When a woman's taking back her life, she knows how to say goodbye, goodbye,
Don't you guys just love this song? Now be sure that you go over to iTunes and buy Dreamer's Dream so that you can hear more of Shauna's great music. So what's next for Shauna Brittenham? What is it that you're looking to do once the book is released and your album is popping off? Are you creatively back in the studio doing more writing, either on another book or writing more music?
All of it, actually. I'm working on a second book, and I'm writing some new tunes. And I'm actually just beginning a children's book that has some music corresponding to it as well. So we've got a lot of different projects in the mix, and I think on different days as I feel inspired, I'll work on, whatever is calling to me. But it's all happening, as they say.
That sounds really fun, a whole children's book idea, because I'm doing a series in November called Kids Corner, where I want to chat with authors who write children's books. So maybe, you don't have to have it published, but if you want to be on that show and come and chat a little bit about that, we'd love to have you back.
Oh, I would love to be back. Thank you for that. I appreciate it very much.
I think that would be so fun. Now, when you decided that you wanted to do children's books, were your children kind of your pinpoint motivation, or did it kind of remind you of, growing up and books that you like to read and thought it would be, an idea? Is that kind of how it went for you?
Well, actually, I had written a book for my niece, my sister's daughter, for her second birthday. Nothing that I ever even thought about publishing. It was just a gift to her. And I hadn't thought about writing anything in the children's book world until very recently, when actually my girlfriend Jen said to me, you really ought to write a children's book. You know, you're always telling your kids stories. My son, Maximilian, is just obsessed with stories and hearing stories. And we sit down to dinner. It's like, tell me a story, you know, before bed, tell me a story. You know, if there's a moment of silence, you know, he wants to fill it with a story. So my husband and I are always having to come up with these ideas. But the other day, my girlfriend Jen said, you know, you really ought to write a book for children. And I said, I'm in the novel mode, you know. And then she came up with this idea of writing the music to correspond to the book, and that felt interesting to me. Yeah. That felt fresh. And I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, well, the music doesn't have to necessarily even be standard nursery rhyme-esque children's music, the kind that we're accustomed to hearing. It can be music that we, like, every generation would hear, like the Beatles. My 2-year-old loves the Beatles. Of course, who doesn't?
Right.
Because those songs.
It's the Beatles.
Because it's the Beatles, A, and B, because, you know, the Beatles write melodies that are just lovable, that everyone can relate to, everyone can sing along to. So I'm kind of in this incubation phase still of writing the music, and the book itself, the storyline, which I kind of have roughly sketched out, I will actually fill in the details for once the music is finished. So I'm really starting with the music. I've got a basic premise, but I'm starting with the music, and then I'm going to fill it all out and give it a body, you know, afterwards.
That sounds like a really fun project. And I watched a special on Sesame Street, because who doesn't know Sesame Street? And they mentioned that children learn and retain so much more when there's music involved. And that's kind of why with their programming, they taught the alphabet and numbers and everything through song. And so it's just, you know, incorporating that into a book. And I love it because I think with technology, as we chat about, there's a lack of children growing up reading and enjoying books, because they can just get on the computer and play a game, or they do so many things online that they don't get that part of the reading and the storytelling like you're, you know, doing with your children. So incorporating music into that, I think that's just fantastic. And again, when you come back, you have to sing a book. Sing a book.
Well, it's funny because sometimes, you know, I love singing so much that I can't stop doing it. And sometimes I'll be singing to my son, like directions of what I want him to do, or I'll start singing a book I'm reading, and he goes, "Mommy, read it with your normal voice." And I'm like, okay, sorry, I'm not impressing you. But wouldn't it be fun if real life was like a Broadway musical where we all just kind of like busted out into song? You know, I kind of want to that way, but he doesn't appreciate it. He's like, "Mom, stop singing," you know.
Oh my God, I would appreciate that so much, except for I think they would ban me from singing, because they'd be like, "No, we don't need you in this part of the Life musical. We just want you to just talk. You're fine. Everybody else will sing and you just talk." Right. And yeah, so no.
Every good rock musical has that narrator who floats on and off the stage, right? So
yeah, that's me.
That's you. You have a place. Everyone has found their place.
I'm the floating narrator.
Just drift in with a word or two and drift out.
That's right. Oh, see, thank you for giving me a place in this life. I'm the floating narrator. I love it.
You didn't know that until today, did you?
No, I didn't. And you learn something new every day, and so I love it. I'm going to make a shirt that says the floating narrator.
And people will stop you and ask you what that means. And I'm sure every single response will be different. If you want to keep it interesting, it's like, well, you know, when I was 18, I was, you know, the floating narrator. It's so ambiguous. It leaves a lot of room for dialogue.
Yes. Like, well, I love it. See, that's creative marketing.
That's a very psychological question, right? Like, what does it mean to you when you read those words, floating narrator? How does that make you feel? What emotion does that elicit?
I love it. Oh, I'm so getting that shirt. I'm gonna send you one too, so you can just have it.
Please.
We've definitely got to get those. But okay, so before we wrap things up, because I know time is escaping and your parties is coming, you need to just prepare. When I'm Pretty, I really want to know the backstory behind that song, because I told you that was going to be like my new song anthem.
Right, right. Well, thank you for making it your anthem. I appreciate everyone who listens very much. And the story behind that song was I was 22 and in love for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of worshiped this person. I mean, I kind of felt like he could do no wrong. And I think because of that, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be perfect, and he was older and handsome and accomplished, and I was kind of finding myself. Yeah. I mean, I still am, right? Like, who isn't? But there was something about the relationship that elicited in me this need to feel perfect all the time, to the point that I really lacked freedom around him. And I got frustrated with myself at a certain point. After, the relationship ended and things didn't work out, I really got frustrated because I realized that I didn't allow myself to really be myself in the relationship. I was trying to be who I thought he wanted me to be, which is, looking a certain way at every moment and always having the right words and being quiet when I was supposed to be quiet and funny when I was supposed to be funny and, having the perfect outfit for every occasion, literally and figuratively. And I just, that was all of a sudden not okay for me. All of a sudden I woke up from that relationship and thought, wow, I don't want to be that person. I want to be me. I want to be all of me, which is messy and confused, and sometimes I'm funny and animated, and sometimes I'm having a down day and I need a moment, to regroup. And it was just a turning point. That song for me was really, in a way, giving myself permission to be a real woman, who I discovered the real woman to be, which was not this kind of fictitious fantasy of a woman, which frankly is really uninteresting and boring, right? Like, we read books with one-dimensional female characters who are perfect all the time. Like, I don't have friends, who never make mistakes and who always look their best. I have friends who will show up, in sweatpants at my door and say, I'm in agony right now, help me, and vice versa. And so that's a very long-winded way of saying that this song was an anthem for me personally at a time in my life where I needed to be liberated from the conventions of what I was told from magazines and from all of these reference points, of what it meant to be a woman. All of a sudden just felt totally ridiculous and lame to me. And I was kind of just trying to really make that statement to myself more than anything. I mean, the song is written and sung to someone, but I was the one who needed that more than anyone.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of people who can identify with that and with the words. And I like the video too, by the way. But there's so many people, I think, who've gone through that or who are still there. And so it wasn't just an anthem for you. Like I said, it was for me too. And I thank you for sharing the story behind it. And we hope that somebody who can go out there and listen to that, and also by Dreamer's Dream, can also find themselves, in some of those words and be able to identify and maybe it helps, or, have somebody look at themselves inwardly and maybe make some decisions, or say, hey, yeah, that's me, I love it. Or they just want to rock out and just be like, uh-oh. And then say, uh-oh, shucks, man, I didn't mean to do that. And then they go, yes, I did. Because that's going to be the follow-up song, everybody. You heard it here first. Shauna Brittenham is going to write, next year. I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere.
Well, now it's like, if I don't, something bad may happen, right? Karmically, this is the most definite thing in my life right now. All of a sudden is that I have to write nothing else has been at all prescribed. But this song, like we've now put it out there, so please,
the pressure.
By all means, follow up with me because I now consider it a duty to write this song.
Yes. Trust me, I will be following up with you. How's that song coming? How's that book going? And how's that children's book? So you'll get tired of me texting you and calling you and sending you messages saying, what's going on? What's going on? And all you need to do is reply back and say, have a glass of wine and a chocolate. I'm on it.
I'm just going to write back floating narrator, and I'm going to let you work with that on your own time.
Oh my God.
You may need a lot of glasses of wine to process.
My face hurts from laughing at you so hard.
I hope you're laughing with me and not at me. But
No.
laughing at me.
Oh my gosh, no, this has been so much fun. This has been so much fun. Well, Shauna, happy birthday from Bookin' Around Town and the Audio Flow. Again, congratulations on the latest release of your album, Dreamer's Dream, which everyone you can find on iTunes. So be sure that you go by. Shauna is spelled Shauna. So don't do Shana or Shanna or anything like that. You won't find her. So make sure you spell her name correctly and look for the album Dreamer's Dream, and come back and leave a message and let us know what you think and what's your favorite song. We'd like to know what's your favorite song on the album, right, Shauna?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
you for listening, and thank you for the conversation.
Oh, most definitely. And everybody, be sure you're on the lookout for Shauna's book release, Only Simply Love. We don't have a release date yet, but once we do, be sure that you're following us on Bookin' Around Town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll find it here probably first or second. As I get the information about its release, we'll be sure to let you know, because we want you all to have a copy, whether it's e-copy or paperback. I don't know, but when it releases, I'm going to have my copy, and I want to make sure that you have yours as well.
Thank you so much. It's been so wonderful.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, and remember, just keep booking, and the Audio Flow is love at first sound. Have a great afternoon. Bye. Hey guys, want to hear more great music by Shauna Brittenham? Be sure you visit iTunes and pick up her debut album, Dreamer's Dream, where you'll also hear Uh-Oh, which we'll play now.
Slow down, turn this pony around. I don't care, but I'll die if you whisper goodbye. I don't wanna say any more goodbyes. Tie me up, tuck me in, drink my last drop of gin. I'll forgive what you said if you crawl into bed. Tell me everything's gonna be alright. We're so busy falling in love, we forgot the rules we made up. Keep ourselves so far apart. We're so busy kissing all night, we forgot that we're in a fight. Endings seem to be our start. Central Park, dance with me in the dark. It's been strange, it's been rough, but your love is enough. I don't want anybody else's love. Take a chance, take it all, be the ground when I fall. If I storm off the train like a small hurricane, tell me what we are gonna be made of. We're so busy falling in love, we forgot the rules we made up. Keep ourselves so far apart. We're so busy kissing all night, we forgot that we're in a fight. Endings that I never should have won by. If you say it's over, I won't believe you, 'cause every time we're through, I can't get enough. We're so busy falling in love, we forgot the rules we made up, keep ourselves so far apart. We're so busy kissing all night, we forgot that we're in a fight, endings seem to be our style.